Alright, Chapter 4. A lot of players' favorite animation is about this chapter. This chapter unfolds along two main narrative threads, Bajie's love story and a grand conspiracy of the high aboves.
No place to find peace these days. Hey! Lovely! Why don't you come down and join us? Leaving so soon? Why the shyness?
From Bajie's various actions and words, it's evident that he becomes utterly infatuated upon seeing a beautiful woman, although he would never admit it himself. If you idle at the beginning of this chapter, Bajie will tell you two stories from the Journey to the West timeline.
Let them prattle as they will. I'm not lustful. With age comes fondness for fair sights. It's simply to soothe the eyes. By light of day, this village isn't half bad to look upon. Hey, you know our master was taken by its looks. That's why he insisted to seek offerings here in person. I said I could do it for him, but he wouldn't lend an ear. He told me later that there were girls playing balls in the village. I reckon he chose to go there himself because of that. Off he went, and lo and behold, all those girls turned out to be yaoguais. They hog-tied him with a pretty bow and strung him up for fun. You see, my master could also be intrigued by oddities, despite his sacred monkhood. If he hadn't gone seeking arms on his own whim, Wukong wouldn't have barged in, and so much would have been spared. Wukong showed no mercy to those yaoguais. He burnt their house down. But if they weren't bent on getting even, they'd not have gone and lost their lives. Yeah, it was a mistake coming with you to this ruined place again. It just rakes up bitter memories. It has been ages. I wonder what became of... Enough with that. What's done is done.
Due to the complex relationships among the characters in this chapter, it's challenging to following a single timeline or focus solely on just one character. We probably will interweave various narratives. I'll start from the central figure of this chapter, the Yaoguai King, Hundred-Eyed Taoist Master. His appearance in both his portrait and in the score at the end is a tribute to various past adaptations. And in the Journey to the West timeline, Wukong couldn't overcome his countless eyes, that golden, shiny spell. Eventually, Wukong sought help from Bodhisattva Pilanpo, who subdued him with the vessel Weaver's Needle, and took him as a disciple to manage the backyard. By the way, in the original book, the spider Yaoguais were all defeated by Wukong, whereas in the TV adaptation, they were subdued by Pilan. In the game, however, there's an interesting twist where Bajie secretly protects one of the spiders. I think this is an excellent adaptation that enriches Bajie's character. We'll dive deeper into Bajie's romantic storyline in the later part of this chapter. The narrative thread in this chapter is incredibly subtle, with exceedingly complex character relationships that even Chinese players familiar with the Journey to the West culture may find challenging to decipher. Even when directly reading the Chinese portraits, one might need to cross-reference multiple characters' portraits to grasp the information. However, I've noticed that the English version of the portraits includes more explicit hints, likely to accommodate Western players who are less familiar with Journey to the West. I will reveal these connections one by one. First, we need to introduce a few important characters, Dawn Star and Bodhisattva Pilanpo. On Purple Cloud Mountain, a red snake named Hong Yi guides you through a series of tasks. Her portrait mentions how Dawn Star was once appointed as Dawn Star. He is the son of Bodhisattva Pilanpo. In the Journey to the West timeline, we can learn Dawn Star was a rooster deity. He once helped Tang Sanzang and Wukong defeated a female scorpion Yaoguai. This Scorpion Yaoguai was the love of the Scorpion Lord, another challenging boss who vows revenge. The object of the Scorpion Lord's vengeance turns out to be the Dusk Veil, which confirms that Dusk Veil was indeed Dawnstar. On the path leading to his den, you can see many rooster statues, further emphasizing his identity. The English version of his portrait straightforwardly states that he was harmed by a Taoist-rubbed insect guai, clearly pointing to the hundred-eyed Taoist master. Interestingly, although he can handle similar insect guai easily, but now this one no longer fears him. Upon seeing the guai holding a radiant golden hairpin, he suddenly realized that the powerful artifact capable of easily defeating the Dawnstar must have come from a very high-ranking High Above. We will discuss this High Above storyline separately after Hundred-Eyed. Moreover, it's funny to note that while a rooster's crow typically signifies the morning and the rising sun, after being transformed into the Yaoguai, his opening roar brings a blood moon. Evidence scattered across multiple portraits corroborates that the Dawnstar was framed by the Hundred-Eyed. The portrait of Buddha's right hand mentions that Hundred-Eyed personally visited and placed two egg-like objects within the arms, referencing an incident at Purple Cloud Mountain where he used two celestial eggs. According to Duskville's portrait, Duskville was harmed by one of these celestial eggs. The first egg failed and transformed into the Elder Amur worm. The portrait of the Elder Amur worm reveals that the other egg was concealed, referring to the Elder Amur worm itself, which produces insect eggs every few days. These eggs have a larger conspiracy. I will discuss them later. The eggs used by the Hundred-Eyed to incubate the arms were actually from the Elder Amur worm, not the celestial eggs. It's important to note that there were only two known celestial eggs, and both of them have been used. Players are already familiar with the Buddha's right-hand bug, which holds a mirror that can awaken Bajie. The portrait of the Buddha's right mentions that the left hand is missing. Where did it go? In fact, players will encounter a frog in this chapter, as well as every chapter. But this one, instead of a tongue, spits out a left hand. This hand was hatched by insect eggs, and since frog eat insects, this makes sense. In his portrait, Hundred-Eyed mentions Crane Immortal, a key figure in the High Above storyline. He reported to Crane Immortal with respect, saying, "With that pick in our hands, the Destined One alone will not cause any trouble." Crane Immortal said, "Your little schemes are all under His Majesty's watchful eyes. He hasn't intervened out of respect for Her Majesty." From this, we can surmise that His Majesty and Her Majesty likely refer to the King and Queen of the Celestial Palace, which means it's all planned by Her Majesty. Hundred-Eyed used Wukong's relic to craft the vessel, Weaver's Needle, give it to his sister, Violet Spider, and used her relationship with Bajie to lure Bajie in, then the Destined One to him, as hinted in his opening lines.
You must save me.
So, both my trap and my vessel failed. But how?
When I saw him, I just couldn't. The Destined One then arrived and bested me. Now the monkey has ransacked our hollow.
A mere monkey showing such disrespect. Your wound was recovering. But now it's getting worse. Fear not, I'll deal with him. But before that thing of mine, do you still have it?
I do.
Very well. Despite all your failures, you led the Destined One here. I should reward you for that. But the thing I gave you, now I must have it back! You girls are far too young to comprehend my design. This, along with those relics inside him, shall free me of Kunlun's reign.
He also mentioned that with other relics would free him from Kunlun's reign, and in original book, Kunlun is ruled by Her Majesty, revealing his ambition to acquire more relics. With tacit approval from the high aboves and already possessing one relic, we can infer that he turned against his former master, Bodhisattva Pilanpo. And why the high aboves allowed this to happen will be discussed later. The Dusk Veil's portrait also mentions his hope that his mother remains safe, suggesting she is probably still alive. The Buddha's left and right hands might belong to Bodhisattva Pilanpo, as the Buddha's right hand's portrait suggests they must have belonged to a great master. But this is uncertain, as another key item in Buddha's right hand, which holds a Yaoguai reflecting mirror. The mirror's function is to reveal a Yaoguai's true form in its reflection. Since Bajie's true form is not a pig, that's why he is able to see his real self in the mirror. However, Hundred Eye did not anticipate that the Destined One, guided by Hong Yi and the power of Weaver's Needle, has been restored. From Hong Yi's lines and the name of the Amur worm, we can tentatively confirm that the Dawn Star and Hong Yi were in a romantic relationship. Now let's finally dive into the High Above's storyline. First, why didn't His Majesty interfere with Her Majesty's plan? It's because he also doesn't want the Destined One to succeed. He knows that Hundred-Eyed is Her Majesty's pawn, and he needs this Yaoguai King to get rid of the Destined One. The court is also aware that Bajie is a loyal bro of Wukong, and by removing him, the Destined One would be left without a powerful ally. The portrait of the Elder Amur worm mentions that the celestial eggs were dropped from Mountain Kunlun, were under Her Majesty's rule, and their continued existence and proliferation suggest that they provide unknown benefits to certain individuals. What are these benefits? The Elder Amur worm produces insect eggs, which serve to create cocoons, acting like hallucinogens. These draw in Taoists seeking power, deceiving them into thinking they've learned immortal skills. This is evident in Taoist Mi's story. They crave violet hail, which is actually made from the eggs of the Elder Amur worm. Consuming them transforms human into various insect Yaoguais, such as the half-human, half-insect Yaoguais you have already defeated on Purple Cloud Mountain. So what purpose do these insect Yaoguais serve for the Celestial Palace? In the Webbed Hollow, there are countless insect eggs that give you lots of will, more than other chapters. The bigger the Yaoguai, the more will they provide, and the larger Yaoguai also drop mind cores, which used for pill making. Moreover, we see why the fourth sister was trying to break the talismans. It's not hard to imagine that this is a prison for various insect yaoguais. These insect yaoguais and half-human insect yaoguais are the material for pill making. In other words, this is a Celestial Palace pill production factory. The talismans in the webbed hollow are managed by Crane Immortal, who serves as the manager of this factory. At the end of Chapter 1's score, the narrator also said,
"The small fish, they are swimming everywhere."
To maintain this pure production line, Crane Immortal's portrait mentions he told the new Dawn Star, "If he hadn't left quietly, how would you be here now?" It's probably because of the old Dawn Star who once helped Wukong was not that easily controlled by them. For this, we can infer that the high aboves testily allowed Hundred-Eyed to eliminate the old Dawn Star and his mother for this reason. And when Crane Immortal says, "You have ruined the court's plans," he means two things. First, you've broken the talismans, and second, you have killed Elder Amer Worm, their accelerator. The pill you found that Crane Immortal left there is incredibly powerful, though it's probably not from the fourth sister, since pill making takes time. Why didn't Crane Immortal allow the flying hand kill you by then? My guess is that they wanted Hundred-Eyed to finish the job. They can avoid direct involvement unless absolutely necessary, as the Celestial Palace is not solely under their control. The flying hand that Crane Immortal controls is a clear symbol of this. High aboves never do the dirty work themselves. They leave it to their underlings.
I shall transform her into a mighty golden pill and keep it safe for you.
Think about her, won't you? Should you feel like stirring trouble in your next life?
Let's now talk about the fourth sister and why she helps you. As soon as you fall into the webbed hollow, she settles you in and gives you some medicines. She led you to some treasure that are unguarded, and eventually to the golden worm. It's clear that she knows the significance of the golden worm, and she wants to end the pill production base.
I heard there's a great treasure hidden within. You seem smart. Why don't you take a chance inside?
Although she is the daughter of the Yaoguai Queen and has certain privileges here, she is also trapped in the webbed hollow. She wants freedom. That's why she asks you what the world beyond the mountains is like, showing that this place is not for her.
I've laid your path for you. But where will my path be? From now on, we're both on our own. Tell me, Monkey, what's it like out there? Beyond these mountains?
Her portrait includes an interesting story about the Scrobbing Lord, who has 4 sons. The fourth sister and her sisters were arranged to marry the Scrobbing Prince. In the webbed hollow, you will encounter and defeat each one of them. The fourth sister sarcastically rejected the arranged marriage with some mocking words. This adds depth to her character, showing her independent and freedom-seeking nature, which aligns with her desire to escape.
Blast this talisman! Those old rascals.
Now I have to spoil a bit to give everyone some satisfaction. That flying hand, you have already killed it in Chapter 6. As for Crane Immortal, he's incredibly arrogant, but let's look forward to getting him toasted in the upcoming DLC. Another thing worth mentioning is how the fourth sister refers to the Destined One in the Chinese dub. She calls him 臭猴子, smelly monkey, which comes off as quite flirtatious. It seems like her story wasn't fully developed for now, so the DLC is definitely something to look forward to. This chapter also features another character working for the Big Brother, Venom Taoist. In his English portrait, it mentions that he remembered his brother's instructions. In the Chinese portrait, it says he remembered Lang Jun's instructions, further confirming our previous analysis that this Big Brother is Erlang. He is also one of Erlang's 5 bros. He came here under Erlang's order. His portrait also mentions the Taoist master walking towards the bare stone wall, about to touch it, which clearly refers to the hidden map he guides you to. When cornered, he tries to change the subject, said he wants to learn some skills from the Taoist master, only to be deceived and used as an experiment with the golden worm's eggs or cocoon, ultimately losing his mind. After you defeat him, he still fulfills Erlang's mission by guiding you to the hidden map. He is a tragic one of 5 bros, as he sacrificed his own life. At this point, we can see that all the Yaoguai working for Erlang have guided you toward getting key items in each chapter, leaving you with even more questions about Erlang's true intentions. This chapter also concludes the hidden 4 Loongs storyline in the game, featuring the red, black, cyan, and yellow Loongs, who represent the 4 ancient rivers worshipped in Chinese history. In this chapter, the last Loong, Yellow Loong, transformed into a long pattern on Yuan Shouteng's robe. Yuan Shouteng is the backpacker what we talked about. He was a fortune teller in the original Journey to the West story. Before the Journey to the West began, the father of the 4 Loongs, Old Loong, king of Jing River, made a bet with him. The Old Loong king, who controlled the timing and amount of rain, tampered with the rain schedule to win this bet. Due to his act of meddling with mortal realm affairs, the Old Loong king was beheaded by the Celestial Court. This incident set off a chain of events that eventually led to the Journey to the West. The backpacker's true intentions and whether the entire situation was part of his plan remain ambiguous, as different interpretations exist in history. We won't dive into those here. Ultimately, this storyline reflects a kind of fatalism, a belief that neither mortals or deities can escape their fate, no matter how much they try to resist it. As for the 4 Loongs, their stories in the game are quite tragic. Yes, they inherited great power, they seem indifferent and unwilling to take responsibility, but they didn't really commit any major crimes. They were killed by the destined one, you. Maybe the yellow one is still alive in your weapon. They are just for upgrade weapon or assist in battles. Personally, I feel sympathy for these characters, as they didn't deserve such an unfortunate fate.
All 3 of your brothers have been claimed. If not now, when will you reunite? Destiny repeats itself, always. Why not cast the die once more?
One more thing worth mentioning is Yellow Loong, the same Loong seen painting on the wall in the game's trailer. The mural itself is a hidden Easter egg, located in the lair behind the wall of the first prince of the Flowing Sands in Chapter 2. Near the mural, you can find Loong scales, which is where the 4 Loongs storyline begins. The mural is a tribute to a scene from the original story and the TV adaptation. It's about Wukong during his time as a student of Master Bodhi.
Their glory fades through time. In tombs of somber grey.
Finally, let's talk about Bajie. I know Bajie has gained a lot of fans, and I also believe the game has done a fantastic job with his character adaptation. That's why I've saved his story with the violet spider for the end of this chapter to give it special attention. Bajie was once an admiral in the Celestial Palace. As for Chang'e, it's not a specific name, but a professional title. It's like a cheerleader. The moon lady we see in the animation belongs to this role. In the original story, it says Bajie was drunk and attempted to seduce the cheerleader. As a result, he was banished to mortal realm for his misbehavior and turned into a pig. There has been much debate throughout history about this event, and no definitive conclusion exists because the story of his banishment is one side from the Celestial Court's perspective. Additionally, there are brief mentions in the original book that after his banishment to the mortal realm, Bajie had a wife named Mao Erjie, the second sister Mao, though some handwritten versions call her Luan Erjie, the second sister Egg. Due to a slight difference in Chinese characters in writing, but a huge difference in meaning, this makes her identity a mystery. The story goes that after 1 year of marriage, she passed away, leaving her wealth to Bajie. This open-ended nature of the original book is what makes it a classic. Many details can be interpreted in different ways, giving readers the freedom to create their own versions of Bajie's story. 1,000 players, 1,000 your own Bajie, much like how Western readers view Hamlet. One interpretation I particularly like is that the second sister Mao was a woman Bajie had a secret relationship within the Celestial Palace. After their thing was discovered, Bajie took the blame to protect her reputation, choosing to be banished. As for why the second sister Mao died a year later, one theory is based on the idea that 1 day in the Celestial Palace echoes a year in the mortal realm. So it can be interpreted that she took a day off from her duties in the Celestial Palace to spend an entire year with Bajie in the mortal realm. In the game, I believe they adapted this interpretation into the Violet Spider's storyline, making the webbed hollow plot richer, without creating a separate chapter focused solely on Bajie's love story, which might not have suited to the gameplay.
Knowing the joy within the play, why chase the notes astray? Love and passion are as fleeting as the clouds. In the end, they leave nothing but cobwebs and dust. A broken mirror cannot be made whole again, my friend. Tell Master Pig, if you will, that attachments are not to be dwelt upon. Immortal once from above. For love she strayed, in her webbed prison. Through mortal years she stayed.
At the Temple of Yellow Flowers, you also hear the backpacker telling you that the Violet Spider was originally an immortal in the Celestial Court, the same woman who accidentally collided with Bajie in the animation. Because of her love at first sight for Bajie, she chose to descend to the mortal realm, hoping to meet him again. Then, in the animation, the woman who ran away, scared after seeing Bajie transform into a pig, is Gao Cuilan from the original story. Many players might confuse her with Violet Spider because they only differ in their makeup. I have watched a few reaction videos of Western players watching this part. All female players can tell there are 3 women. After all, women understand makeup. In the original story, Bajie had helped a family by chasing away a wealthy official who tried to forcibly marry Gao Cuilan. The family saw him as a hero and thought he was a good person, and Bajie used spell to maintain the human form. all the time. So Gao Cuilan gradually became his fiancée. However, one day after getting drunk, he revealed his pig form. Scaring Gao Cuilan away, Bajie didn't want to give up on the marriage and continued pursuing her. The woman's father, seeking help, came across Tang Sen and Wukong, who were passing by, and asked them to subdue the pig Yao Guai. Wukong transformed himself as Gao Cuilan, and Bajie even carried him on his back, unaware of this trick. After a brief fight, they learned that Bajie had been instructed by Guan Yin to wait for Tang Sen in this town. Wukong then persuaded Bajie to give up the marriage and introduced him to Tang Sen, who took him as a second disciple. Many people say Bajie falls in love with everyone he meets, but the animation suggests something else. For example, he first chased after the cheerleader Chang'e. He collided with Violet Spider. Though something stirred in him, he chose to continue pursuing the cheerleader until he realized she already had someone else. The animation shows this dramatically. As for the identity of the man with the cheerleader, there is no clear answer, and various online interpretation exists, but it's not important. I feel this is the game's interpretation for Bajie's banishment, that he discovered a secret affair between the cheerleader and the high-ranking figure, which led to his banishment. As punishment, he was cruelly transformed into a pig, ensuring he would never be desired by anyone again. However, Bajie and Violet Spider meet again. In the animation, the lustful Bajie unexpectedly encounters the girl he bumped into long ago, and now she is Violet Spider. Bajie transforms into a catfish, the similar one you have fought with. Given that he was once an admiral, he is able to transform into fish is not surprising. And they immediately recognized each other. One thing worth noting is the symbolic imagery of fish and water. In ancient Chinese culture, this is called 鱼水之欢, the joy of fish and water, which symbolizes coitus. The game also dramatized their transformation into their Yaoguai forms, symbolizing that they can be their true selves with one another, without the need to hide. Now, why didn't Bajie stay in the animation during the Journey to the West timeline? It's not about Tang Sen or Journey to the West. In my opinion, Bajie never really cared about Tang Sen or Journey to the West at all. Throughout the original story, whenever Tang Sen got captured, Bajie was always the first to suggest breaking up the group. And here's a spoiler from the Great Sage's Broken Shell portrait. There's a conversation between Bajie and Wukong where they briefly mention 7 spiders. While it's not explicitly stated, it hints that Wukong knew Bajie secretly protected Violet Spider, which shows that Bajie wouldn't worry about his bro Wukong stopping him. Bajie once worked in the Celestial Palace, so he fully understands how things work up there. Unless he completes his current mission of escorting Tang Sen, they won't let him go. Though he often suggests breaking up after Tang Sen is captured, that's only because he was thinking only himself. Bajie knows that now, if he stayed with Violet Spider and started a family, the Celestial Court would target more than just him. So why does Bajie still left in the game's current timeline? Why does he even avoid acknowledging his own daughter? It's because he truly doesn't dare to. In his eyes, even the invincible Wukong was ultimately killed by the Celestial Court. And here's another spoiler from the Chapter 5 animation. Wukong's family is torn apart. That happened after their first encounter wept hollow, and before the current timeline. So Bajie has seen too much. He knows that if he acknowledges his family or stays here, it would only bring harm to them. The Chinese subtitle for this chapter is 曲度紫渊. It seems to be derived from Tang Dynasty's poet Li Bai's poem 代別情人. I'm not capable to translate it. However, the original word 鸳鸯, Mandarin ducks, which symbolize lovers. After this chapter, there's a hidden Easter egg. If you return to the Temple of Yellow Flowers, you'll find violet spider's grave next to a very large tree, along with a preservation orb and a soul remigration pill nearby. The preservation orb in the Journey to the West timeline belonged to a Loong and was used to preserve a king's body. Wukong obtained a soul remigration pill from the Celestial Court to revive the king. The preservation orb shows up here in the game, hinting that Bajie somehow obtained it, and with a soul remigration pill nearby means somehow Bajie tried to bring Violet Spider back, maybe. The English subtitle of this chapter, however, differs significantly from the Chinese one. It's rosy cheeks, gray hair, clearly referring to Violet Spider, now aged with gray hair, yet still having rosy cheeks when meeting Bajie. There is a very touching fan interpretation online where players added their own imagined line for Violet Spider.
I was afraid you were too silly that you wouldn't recognize me, so I put on the same makeup I wore when we first met.
I have been waiting for so long. Years up there haven't been kind to you. But you're with me now.
This chapter is titled Lesson Not, as same as the BGM song's name. The lyrics of the BGM also hint at their love story. The mention of ephylium in the song symbolizes the fleeting nature of their love, blooming briefly like the flower. The reference to Cangou, Grey Dog, comes from the Tang Dynasty poet Du Fu's poem 可叹, which speaks of the clouds in the sky changing as quickly as a white shirt becoming a grey dog, symbolizing the ever-changing nature of their relationship. As for the relic you got in this chapter, in the English version the relic is named Envious Tongue, while the Chinese version is called 舌长丝, meaning the tongue that tastes longing. In Chinese culture, longing or missing someone is often associated with the taste of bitterness or sometimes sweetness. The final score of this chapter also mentions,
Yet destiny, like a lover's tongue, speaks one way and means another.
The relic itself is a lotus pod, and lotus seeds are known for their bitter core. You will also notice that one seed is missing from your relic, which is another mystery.
Oh